As you know, this is our National Coalition meeting for FIC, and it's really wonderful to see some new faces today. So we know that we are growing and getting known a little bit more. So thank you so much for being here if this is your first time joining us. So to get things started today, we will start off with our lobbyist, Chris Gray, who has a few things to share and a bit of a presentation.
Thank you, Trisha. I'm just going to share my screen here, so hopefully this works. Let me know if it does. Okay, can you see my slides? Okay, so I'm just going to run through a quick slide deck. I just thought I'd give you kind of an overview of what's happening in Ottawa politically, and then give you an update on where FIC is. I thought this would be a different way, a little visual instead of just speaking to things. So I'm just gonna give me 1 second here, make my screen bigger. Okay. So overall, as you know, COVID does continue to consume the government's agenda, but there is light at the end of the tunnel as more and more Canadians are getting vaccinated. We're hearing about the 1-dose summer, 2-dose fall now that the federal government has been saying. And I just saw before this call an interesting infographic came out that kind of illustrated what you can and should be able to do once we hit certain levels of 75% first and second doses. There's a number of big bills that the government does have to pass before Parliament rises for the summer, or at least try to anyways. One is the obviously most important one is Bill C-30, which is the budget bill. And then you've probably heard some consternation and some media around the broadcasting bill, Bill C-10. There's been a lot of opposition against that bill right now. The NDP has stated a number of times they will continue to prop up the government until the pandemic recedes, but FIC will continue to have meetings with MPs and officials throughout the spring, and even past once Parliament rises for the summer in June. We'll continue to have meetings with officials and MPs where we're able to do so. Federal election in 2021, most likely. All signs that I've been seeing continue to point towards a probable October election on the federal scene. The CERS and the wage subsidies expire on September the 25th. Mr. Trudeau has said that all Canadians will have their full vaccinations by September. And this government has already lasted longer than any other minority government, or longer than most minority governments. And you can see a number of provincial elections that are planned for next year. So if they can, they try to stay away from having federal and provincial elections, major provincial elections in the same year, as there's a lot of volunteers that are helping out on all sides. So how would you vote tomorrow? You can see here that the numbers have stayed more or less the same. You could argue that the Conservatives have gone down a little bit. It's been really difficult for Aaron O'Toole and Jagmeet Singh to really get any airtime during COVID. It's just not happening for them when people want to hear from the governments and what they are planning and how we're going to get out of this. So you can see that the government has flirted, the Liberals have flirted with 39, 40%. That would be in the range of a potential majority government if they were able to hit 39, 40% consecutively. As I mentioned, the CERS and the Qs, they will continue until at least September the 25th of this year. I just put a few other federal programs that could be available and are available right now. So there's rapid testing that the government just introduced for businesses and workplaces. They're also trying to help businesses of all sizes, but particularly small businesses with CRA and helping with your tax situation as much as possible. So if you have any questions on that, I can help either now or offline. With regard to what FIC has been doing specifically, Sarah, Trisha, and Scott have been doing a great job with meetings, outreach to the Finance Canada, the Minister of Small Business, engaged with the leader of the official opposition, submitting pre-budget proposals, and we'll be doing another one when the Finance Department and Finance Committee puts out their proposal, or they're asking for proposals for next year's pre-budget proposal. They'll be doing that within the next month, believe it or not. So, and on the right-hand side of my screen, you can see at least some of the MPs and officials that we have been able to connect with over the last few months. So last slide before I wrap it up, just continued and opportunities for engagement. As I mentioned, we'll continue to meet with MPs and government officials, meeting with party platform developers. And in fact, we actually met with a member of parliament last week from British Columbia who is responsible for gathering all of ideas that could potentially be in a conservative platform. So that was good for us to do. And we'll continue to monitor other opportunities, consultations, and other parliamentary committees where there is a chance to provide some input. Scott, you've appeared before 2 committees, I believe now, and Sarah has also appeared before the Finance Committee as well. So that is great in raising the level of awareness and raising your government relations and advocacy in Ottawa. So that is a short update, and happy to answer any questions you may have.
Great.
I have a quick question, Chris.
Sure.
Just wondering if there's been any more information back from the government of Canada or from the Liberals with respect to the adult fitness tax credits, you know, being included in the budget, whether or not that's like, you know, was that a hard no? Was it a, you know, we may consider for future budgets? Was it and what was the feedback on? I mean, I know that you and Scott were in front of, you know, specific, you know, budget committees. Maybe I missed something with the prior meetings, but I'm just wondering if we've gotten any additional feedback.
So I know that, and Sarah, feel free to pipe in. I know Sarah has had a really good connection with someone in finance. In my conversations with Tyler Meredith in finance, Tyler Meredith is he is one of the folks who held the pen on the budget. It was a bit of a tough sell, Blake. He sees it as a, you know, boutique tax credit. He sees it as more something that conservatives have done and would do. So it's still a hill that we need to try and climb. He didn't say no. He just wasn't entirely convinced on the tax credit issue. I believe there's probably a better chance of the medical exemption that Sarah was really great at advocating for moving forward. So.
And my update on that, Blake, would just be that, you know, the fact that the day after the budget was released that, you know, we were invited to present in front of the Finance Committee in the House of Commons was a positive, meaning the conversation continues. And we have continued to have conversations since then with members of Parliament. And we do believe that we can use this as a strong advocacy effort in the upcoming potential election. And we are using kind of all of our avenues to do that. And as Scott kind of said, if we have 6 million members of our fitness facilities across Canada, who wouldn't want 6 million votes if we can really kind of attach those. So we will continue our advocacy efforts won't stop, because I still think that this is the right time for us to have this conversation. And as we start to see other programs kind of globally pop up that do infuse the fitness economy, we have to continue to keep this conversation alive.
Chris, it's Angela. Have you heard anything since yesterday? Here, the restaurant industry, their association is going to ask for a continued, at this point, I guess they want to get that through before an election, for a continuation of the subsidy and the rent relief till April 22. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything specifically on that, Angela. I know that, but Bill C-30, the budget bill, will extend it at least until the 25th. As I mentioned, I think it gets a little murky after that if we are actually in a pandemic, sorry, in an election. But I mean, it's a good point. At this point, we probably still won't be in a great situation on September the 25th, even, right? Where many businesses will still need that support. So I guess we'll just have to wait and see on that still.
Great, thank you, Chris. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Well, I just thought I could share with the group exactly what our ask has been and kind of the presentation that we're sharing with the MPs and even at a provincial level. So this is the document that we're sending as a follow-up to our formal presentations. So basically, we talk about who we are, just a brief overview of who FIC is and who we serve, how we have 6,000 facilities, employ over 150,000 people. We serve 6 million Canadians. And we have, we're a leading employer of young people, so under the age of 30. And then we talk about the impact COVID's had on the industry. So if you're open, if you're lucky enough to be open, you're operating around 50% of pre-COVID revenues. If you're closed, you're operating at 0 to 10%, depending on how robust your virtual and remote products are. We talk about Qs and KERS, and HASCAP is all great, but at the end of the day, there's still a lot of remaining expenses that aren't covered, and thus, facilities are losing, 20 to 30,000 a month on average. There's been notable bankruptcies in the industry. A little startup or consideration for startups who opened just before COVID. And we talk about the why does it matter? Well, we greatly impact physical and mental health, and that's been impacted with COVID. Anxiety and depression are on the rise. The average, there's lots of studies now coming out of the US, people have gained 25 pounds. We're looking down the barrel of a health epidemic here. And so when we talk about anxiety and depression, there's a huge increase of this, and they know this. Like, I think one of the things they're talking about is a hotline, kind of like a 911, but for mental health. Mental health is a huge part of conversation with government right now. And if you phone a crisis line, sometimes it takes a week or two for somebody to even get back to you. So, there's definitely an overwhelming of the system today. And so we talk about the impacts of exercise, and a lot of politicians don't really know this. They know exercise is good for you, but when you talk about the fact that we've researched this, we funded the research, we have great leading professionals in Canada, and these are the statistics. It's good ammunition for us. And then we talk about how we want to be part of the solution, right? So fitness is part of the solution. It's part of the national recovery. We need people to get well again and productive and back to contributing to society. And our 3 asks are include us as a tax deduction, so not a tax credit, but a tax deduction. Fund the Prescription to Get Active program to expand across Canada, because that's the medical doctors still have incredible power to get people moving. We can consider a tax credit, but obviously a tax deduction is better. And then positive messaging around our sector and professional assistance. Because right now, a lot of the messaging coming out of participation or government is, go for walks and be active, but there's nothing to help with behavior change, sustainable behavior change to do that. How many people bought cross-country skis in the winter, and they went once and now they're sitting in the garage and, they're never going to get used again. We believe there's a 500% return on investment for government. So that's, a great reason for them to consider this. It gets young people back to work. It's going to rebuild our industry. So there's a lot of check boxes we feel it hits. And then we just go through a real basic pro forma, right? So We use their existing data. So this is all the government's data and literature, you know, on the back of a napkin on a per person. Getting somebody off the couch and moving will save the average person $500 a year in healthcare expense. For chronic conditions, it's 4 times as high. If an average spend of a membership and personal training or fitness services is $1,200, you know, we believe we can give the government that 556% return on investment. So fairly simple pro forma here. And then, you know, we talk about how we've created really safe protocols. We have a very good track record. We're set up for contact tracing, et cetera, et cetera. And then we talk about everybody we've talked about. And the whole point of this is to create water cooler talk. So we feel the more people we talk to, the more people are going to be in Freeland's ear about this. And we really are focusing a lot of efforts on the Conservatives to make sure, because they seem to really be championing this. So we really want to meet as many Conservative MPs as possible, but continue with our Finance Committee conversations and really anybody who will listen to us. And we've never, to Blake's comment, we've never had anybody say, well, this is a dumb idea. Besides potentially Tyler Meredith, we've always had positive response to this. Some people have even said this is a no-brainer. So to Sarah's point, we're going to keep the gas pedal down. We're going to keep going. And, you know, we're hopeful that, you know, if not this year, then next year we can get this on the budget. So we'll send this out to the group. And if you want to talk, if you have a meeting with an MP or you'd like us to do a presentation, you know, let us know. And then same thing provincially, right? There's some opportunities we feel provincially to get a tax credit or a tax deduction at the provincial level. So that's what we've been doing.
Any questions on that presentation? I will make that presentation available to everybody who is currently on the call as well, and whoever was invited to join us today. So it looks like there's no questions, concerns, or comments, which is great. Scott, do you want to maybe mention our partnership with CFIB and how that?
So in our last meeting, we presented the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, did a presentation to our group, just talking about all the benefits that our members can experience with a capitulated CFIB membership. You know, there's lots of savings, tax savings, insurance savings, there's continuing education opportunities, you know, there's networking. So there's a whole suite of benefits. And they came back to us with a rate of $8.33 per member. So what we've done is we've talked about, you know, in partnership with them is FIC will basically, we're going to build that into the membership pricing structure for FIC members. And we're going to be covering that for the existing members. So for everybody on the call, it's going to be included in what you're paying today. And they've negotiated, or we've negotiated with them, that we're not going to pay them for the first 6 months, which will give everybody the opportunity to use it, try it, give us feedback. What do you think about it? It'll give us an opportunity to grow our member base with that added value. And then from there, it's a month-to-month agreement. So if we decide we don't like it, then we don't have to keep it. So we think that that's a no-brainer, 6 months for free, and then it's month-to-month. And if we're able to grow our membership, then it becomes a real sustainable option for us. And I just feel there's a lot of benefits there. So we're going to go ahead and move forward with that. Our board, you know, wanted to just have comfort around the risk. And so because it's month-to-month and there's 6 months free, there really is no risk to us. So we're going to move forward.
Great, wonderful. All right, so let's move on to our second part of today's meeting, which is the provincial updates. So we will start with Quebec. Gabriel.
Hi guys, it's great news for CFIB. I think it's going to bring a lot to our membership and our FIC members. So good job, Scott, and all people on that. For us here in Quebec, there's not much going on. We are still in the lockdown. Many places are in red zone. In Quebec, particularly, we are passing from the black zone to the red zone. So it's not changing much for gyms. I've been talking with the government many times since 2 weeks, and for the sport minister, they don't have any news to say. They don't know anything. They keep asking the health director to have more clarification, but like here, it's a small council just talking together. So they don't know really much. Nothing has been announced for sport. We don't know yet what are the plans for the weeks to come, with vaccination going pretty well here. For today, it's 18 plus that can be vaccinated. So it's going pretty well. Everybody is waiting for a reopening plan. I think the restaurant had a meeting last week with the government, and they said, or they released something today saying they had a great meeting. They were presenting their ask, and the government did listen to them. We don't have that chance here. The government don't really want to have us on the table with them. So maybe in 1 week, we're going to know a little bit more about where we are going. We are looking, I think, around mid-June to reopen the gyms or the sports. I heard the contact sport would restart maybe at the end of June. So if the contact sport can restart at the end of June, and that was a meeting I had with police officers here, and they were told like maybe it's that announced is going to come. So if contact sport can restart at the end of June, maybe the gyms can restart middle of June. So that is what we are looking. And for the rest, it's honestly not moving a lot. So we are still closed, and we continue our fight, or talking with the opposition and the MPs and everybody, but not quite much going on here.
Thank you for that update. Let's move on to Ontario. Do we have Andy here?
Don't know if Andy's here. I don't see him on the call, but I'll hop in lieu of that, I guess. Just in Ontario, we launched the PR campaign thanks to Movati and Orange Theory, who helped put that together and pay for it, and a lot of work that went into it from a pretty good group of people. And overall, it's been very positive. So this includes a website, a petition, and a press conference we had on Wednesday. And the main focus here is just to get the message out that we want a seat at the table and to be part of a safe and responsible reopening plan. The very positive thing was I think we did a very good job at getting the messaging very clear. So even the press, there was no spin. There wasn't any negative spin on it. People were clear that we weren't asking to be open today, that we were just want to be part of the reopening plan that's feasible. We didn't see a lot, or if any, negative backlash from it from the general population as well, which I think is a record for anything that's been put out from the fitness industry in the past 15 months. So yeah, I mean, overall, very positive. The petition now has over 10,000 signatures, and we're just getting it out to members. So if you are in Ontario, have a facility in Ontario, if you're on our email list for the coalition, we'll be sending out a template for an email you can send out to members to have them sign the petition. And if you're not on our email list, then contact. I'll put the email, the Gmail account for the Ontario Coalition in the chat to get a hold of us, and we can add you to that email list and send that along. But really, it's just about building momentum behind this. Unfortunately, we had an announcement that they're extending the stay-at-home order until at least June 2nd. So we don't know if that's going to come with exceptions made for outdoor activities or not. There's a big push right now happening here from doctors and the general population, especially golfers and people like that, we should be able to do some outdoor activity at the very least. But it's looking like we're not going to be moving back to the colored framework until at least the start of June, if not later on. So we're just really pushing so that we can, in the interim, make sure that they engage with us and we're able to provide some input in terms of having a framework and rules that make sense for our industry. So yeah, that's it's been a pretty busy week, or busy couple of weeks here, and so far the campaign has gone really well. So I think that's the biggest update from our end as we wait to see if the government will bother to talk to us after all this effort and time and energy.
Great, thank you. And I see that Perry has put in Ontario's email address there. Perry, could you also put in the campaign page? And then that way, those who want to check it out can take a look at that campaign. All right, so let's go to Manitoba. Dino.
Hello, everyone. I was just checking out the latest press conference here. So as of today, they just announced that our ICU is exceeding their worst case predictions. That's as of last week. So we are doing our part by being closed, and we're actually allowed to work out outside. You can have groups of up to 5, including the trainers. So here in our facility, we have all our personal trainers training their members outside. Next week, we'll start basically an open gym outside as well, which is just setting up equipment, having people book time slots, and ensuring that they're in groups of 5 or less. So at least we can get some activity going and kind of keep some memberships going. In terms of what they're predicting based on today, they said we're probably going to hit the peak of the case counts in the next few weeks. So when they closed us last Saturday, they said it was for 3 weeks, but it looks like now we won't even crest this wave for another couple weeks. So my assumption is that this is going to go on at least through June. I'm hoping maybe by Canada Day they'll have us reopen here. But I think it has a lot to do with the vaccination rates and making sure that everybody has that first dose. From my communication, it doesn't look like they have any plan in terms of how they're going to reopen, what metrics they're using to determine when to reopen. So really no plan, no direction. So the messaging here for fitness is just kind of pivot as best as you can to keep your business going outdoors, because that is allowed. The other thing is I've noticed no enforcement, and talking to other businesses as well. I only know one gym that's kind of been inspected so far, which is different because usually they were visiting me multiple times a week before they closed us. So there's that. 2 other things. One is they extended the bridge grant, so we should all be getting an additional $5,000 direct deposit, I believe today or Monday. If you got the last payments, then it would just be automatic. If you haven't gotten any payments, you can apply online and you'll get a direct deposit of up to, I believe, $20,000, which would be the 4 bridge grant payments that have gone out. And the last thing here, Manitoba Fitness Council is working on a proposal with the Chamber of Commerce to work on a fitness-specific grant or subsidy, something along those lines, to help offset some of the costs here. Again, with a lot of pressure from the chambers, we've seen industry-specific funding for restaurants, for arts and entertainment, but nothing for fitness. So that's kind of what we're pushing for right now. So we sent out a survey to all our members. If you haven't got that survey, please email me nb@ficdn.ca. I'll put that in the chat. That's for any Manitoba fitness centers. Just email me and I'll send you a link to that survey. But we need that data in order to come up and finalize the proposal for the provincial government. So that's pretty much it. Again, not much in terms of communication. We're kind of left in the dark, but we're doing what we can to kind of keep our businesses going.
Great, thank you, Dino, for sharing that. Let's go to Saskatchewan. I know Jolene's not here today, but I did see Skye. So I know that in Saskatchewan, there is supposed to be a move towards phase 1 on May 30th. And also, there should be a change for fitness facilities when it comes to group training from the current limit of 8, but the requirement of 3-meter spacing remains. So, Skye, if you have anything to add to that.
Hi guys, thanks Trisha. I don't actually, I've been living in Calgary actually since January, so I'm a little bit disconnected, but still got some clubs out there. And yes, you're correct. Looks like May 30th, they're going to ease some restrictions. I've contacted the Premier's office to see if they can allow us to go maskless unless we're going through transitions. This is in relation to group exercise. They referred me to the business office, so at least they responded. And that's really all I kind of have. And again, it's all based on this vaccination rate. Saskatchewan was the first, I believe, province to come out with a plan based on vaccination rates, which is good. And I hope they follow suit in other provinces.
Wonderful. Thank you for that, Skye. Let's move on to Alberta.
So Alberta, we're fully shut down. So no outdoor, even private training is permitted as of, I think, a couple of weeks ago. The 1+ this week was, I think, we're the first province to open up vaccinations fully for anybody over the age of 12. So we have seen really high uptake on vaccinations in the last week or so here. You know, I've been watching the numbers. It looks like maybe we're kind of finally hitting that cusp, hopefully. But cases are definitely still very high, and we continue to hear that. Haven't heard anything resembling a reopening plan yet. We, myself, Scott, Blake, a handful of others have been still having ongoing conversations with our industry liaison from the government, but getting quite frustrated because it doesn't seem like we're getting anywhere that we ever want with that. So kind of feeling like getting a little bit stonewalled and at a bit of an impasse of hoping that they'll follow suit with the Saskatchewan plan, kind of pushing that forward and asking for that to happen, but it doesn't always feel like what we say matters, unfortunately. So I think that's about it for me. Blake, Scott, I don't know if you'd add anything else to that.
Nope, that was a good summary.
Okay. Great. So then let's move on to BC.
Thank you, Trisha. Thoughts go out to all the businesses and that are currently closed, struggling to remain open. COVID case counts in British Columbia continue to drop. We're at about 500 to 600 cases per day in British Columbia. They started dropping. That's about 3 weeks ago. We're about 1,200 per day. That's since our circuit breaker was put into effect. Our current circuit breaker ends on May 25th, and a generalization of what that looks like in BC is outdoor dining only, individual fitness only, so no high intensity or low intensity group fitness currently, and interprovincial travel is not allowed. All signs indicate to us in British Columbia that after this May 25th date, which is the end of the current circuit breaker, we could see low intensity group fitness open up in British Columbia. It's been indicated to us that high intensity group fitness likely won't be allowed after May 25th. So on that note, our public health lobbying efforts, including a discussion yesterday with Dr. Bonnie Henry's office, we're primarily focusing right now on opening high intensity and low intensity fitness after this current circuit breaker of May 25th. So that's where most of our efforts are going towards in British Columbia. We also started discussions with Dr. Bonnie Henry's office on a dial back approach moving into the summer as more people get vaccinated and case counts continue to decrease, hopefully. We're looking at distance, cleaning, mask, capacity, and pre-booked workouts as our primary focuses in this dial back approach. So what we're starting discussions with public health around is basically, here are the things that are affecting our business, the restrictions that affect our business the most. What are some of these restrictions that you see as legitimate areas that we could sort of start loosening and pulling away from, so that our businesses that when they do open or are currently open can actually be successful businesses, and they seem to be open to our discussions there. So we're looking for a dialed back approach of They've never really committed to, if cases are here or hospitalizations are here, this is what we're going to do in British Columbia, but they've been fairly open to this dial back approach. So maybe a 2 to 3 layered dial back approach as we go into June, then into August, and then into the fall. Hopefully restrictions will be fairly loose. Temporary closures, you guys have heard me yell, scream, and rant about these 10-day temporary closures in British Columbia. Currently, fitness facilities are being shut down. If one of our members has COVID and they can't determine that they got COVID from offsite, they'll just assume it's the gym and they'll shut the gym down. So there's been multiple closures on a daily basis out here in British Columbia. Case counts are down, so there's been less closures, knock on wood. All Club 16s currently right now are open for the first time. Saying that, we're hoping to lobby public health to a more reasonable threshold of closures in British Columbia for fitness facilities. Recently, Alberta came out with a mass exemption process. We're looking into that a little bit further. One of the things that we've been talking with fitness facilities in British Columbia about are some of the restrictions and the impacts that they have on our staff and our leadership groups within our facilities. We've reached out to BCRPA, rec centers, YMCAs. We've had some consistent discussions there around mass and the mask exemptions in particular. And so we're going to look further into this information coming out of Alberta and see if it's going to support our staff in monitoring the mask situation and the mask exemptions within our facilities. So there could be some work there coming up as well. Some recent wins with public health here in British Columbia. We had a great working group with Anytime Fitness out in British Columbia. They requested that a requirement that was put out on April 7th, I believe, a new order said that 24-hour fitness had to be staffed at all times. Anytime Fitness reached out to us, so we challenged Anytime Fitness and said, Anytime Fitness, come up with what requirements and guidelines will keep your facilities safe and healthy while not being staffed. They did. We got that in front of Dr. Bonnie Henry, and about 2 weeks after that, she signed off on the change back to 24-hour fitness is not having to be staffed at all times as long as they followed the requirements that were set by Anytime Fitness. So thank you, Anytime Fitness, for working with us on that. You were persistent in your communication, and that was a big win in British Columbia. So thank you. We got some clarity on the current orders in British Columbia. If you take a look at the orders in British Columbia right now for individual fitness, if somebody on the call could throw up the link, you'll see some highlighted sections that we got some clarity on from Dr. Bonnie Henry's office, clarity on masks in fitness versus sport, clarity on pre-bookings of workouts, and then, so those were updated and they're currently highlighted the changes. So we had them highlight the changes because often they would update the changes and fitness facilities weren't aware of the changes. So we thought at least highlighting the changes would support a quicker communication. Also recently, vaccinations. We were able to support Vancouver Coastal Health with allowing 18-year-olds and older who work in fitness facilities, whether they're open or closed, to be vaccinated. Currently in British Columbia, either you have to live in a hotspot if you're 18 and older to get vaccinated, or we're around 35 to 40 years of age, people that are booking for the vaccination. So we fully supported Vancouver Coastal Health with this decision to vaccinate people who work in fitness. So that was a pretty cool victory as well. In terms of our provincial government lobbying efforts, these include ongoing discussions with the Premier's Office, Minister of Labour, Minister of Economic Recovery and Jobs. We are invited, the FIC has been invited to a provincial bi-weekly industry roundtable for industries that are most impacted by COVID-19. It includes the restaurant and hospitality industry, tourism, and then we represent fitness in British Columbia. That's chaired by Dr. Bonnie Henry herself, as well as Premier Horgan. And so with this new relationship, we were able to actually give all fitness facilities in British Columbia access to the circuit breaker grant of originally $2,500 to $10,000 per location. Previous to our relationship, only fitness facilities that were closed as of March 25th, I'm making that date up, March 2021 had access to the grant. We were able to open up the grant to not only fitness facilities that had been closed but are currently open, as well as fitness facilities that were closed in November of 2020. So that was kind of a cool victory for us here in British Columbia. This new relationship, we've lobbied to support fitness facilities that only have one business registration number. I'm sure you guys are all going through this provincially. If you have one business registration number for 16 locations, you only get access to one grant. Whereas if you have a business registration number for each one of those individual facilities, you get 16 grants. And so this is our first punch in the face back from the government, and they've given us a strong no. So we'll decide whether or not it's in our best interest to lobby for that, or to continue lobbying for other grants in other areas, as well as an economic recovery with the provincial government. So it's pretty cool that we have the opportunity to at least discuss and get no's and yeses from our provincial government in British Columbia as we try to gain economic recovery from them. We have begun open discussions in our BC group around the National Health and Fitness Day. We see this as a huge opportunity to leverage the day to support our industry, to support businesses coming into our facilities. We believe by at least then all fitness facilities will be open in BC, get exposure on TV, radio, and news, and then also have quite a bit of fun, hopefully in British Columbia as it pertains to fitness, which is much needed for sure. And so before I close off, I just wanted to briefly mention, we had a provincial coalition lead call yesterday. And it's very apparent that across our industry, there are a lot of people that are hurting, a lot of business owners, operators, staff, leaders. And I just challenge everybody on the call here today to reach out to somebody else after the call immediately and just ask them how they are doing. It's oftentimes the people that we see maybe on this call or in our industry that look the strongest and look the toughest and look the most confident and present in that way. It's oftentimes those are the people that actually need support and help as well. So I challenge you after this call to reach out to somebody in our industry to offer them support, because I think it would be helpful in this time. We need to stick together now more than ever as we come into the slower months in our industry to reopen up. So thank you for your time, and a quick death clap if you're with me. Right on, thank you. Thanks for hearing me out.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Carl, for that update. And thank you for bringing up National Health and Fitness Day. We will be promoting that more and more. So if you are not aware yet, National Health and Fitness Day is on June the 5th. And we have a task force that has been working tirelessly to make that a reality. You can actually sign up at gympass.ca if you are going to be having a community event. So last year, if you're aware, we did a virtual event on National Health and Fitness Day. This year, we are doing community workouts, so outdoor, spaced out workouts. If you are able to in your province, we would love to see you connect with your trainers and in your facility, outside your facility, arrange for these community workouts as well as free virtual workouts. So you are more than welcome to register, make sure you are known, and it is a day for us to really support fitness and draw some attention when it comes to the media, because right now it just seems like we're doing a lot of fighting. So instead of that, being able to embrace what it is that we have to offer on that day. So please check out gympass.ca. And you're welcome to connect with myself or Mo Hagan. I don't know if Mo is on today.
She's not. It's their business conference today. So she's presenting all day today.
Yeah. So Natalie's here as well as part of the National Health and Fitness Day Committee. So we are more than happy to help arrange this event.
I'll go a step further. I want to put a challenge out there to everybody across the country right now to see which province, can get the most events planned for this. You've got a couple of weeks to do it. I think this is a great opportunity to do something really positive, to run some outdoor workouts, to get all of your trainers who work in your facilities to each do one in their neighborhood, whatever it is. I like to see which province can get the most per capita workouts organized, which communities can do the best, which companies can do the best at seeing how many people they can get. We're trying to get the trainers to submit how many participants they had and how long it was. So we want to get a gauge of how many minutes of activity that we got across Canada on June 5th. So I put the challenge out to the group as a whole, that we can see how we can maximize and optimize how many minutes of activity that we can brag about afterwards, and a little bit of a friendly regional challenge between cities, provinces, companies on the call to see who can get the most trainers organized, the most community events organized, the most minutes of activity done, and see who can champion that the best out of everybody here.
Nick, I love your enthusiasm, and I'm super excited about National Health and Fitness Day. but I'm having trouble in Manitoba a little bit. Just it feels like we're not supposed to be gathering in groups. We're not supposed to be encouraging people to get together. Right now, our current health orders, you're not even allowed to go visit a friend and hang out in their yard. So I know for myself, I'm going to run a virtual event and I'm going to encourage other trainers to do the same. And we're getting the information out, but it's hard right now to like promote this big, fun, awesome event, even though I know it's great and I know everyone needs to move and be outside. But like the whole idea of gathering is what we're not supposed to be doing. Like Manitoba is kind of hitting rock bottom right now. So the event timing isn't great. So it's hard. Like, I love your challenge and I love that, but it's just not everyone is in the same place.
I get it. And when we started planning this in January, we just figured by June 5th, we'd be able to do outdoor exercise, right? And so, of course, and all the PR training I've had in the past couple of weeks, you know, we do not condone anybody who's breaking the provincial rules. We want everyone to follow the rules of their governments accordingly, and so on and so forth. But yeah, totally get it. I mean, do what you can. Virtual events, I think people are looking for something positive now. So, you know, do it virtually. You can still count those minutes and count those people, you know, maybe set your camera up outside or just challenge this. I think everybody's looking for something to do right now, especially like you guys are a couple weeks behind us in Toronto, in Ontario, where we've been locked down in our houses forever. So everyone's just looking for something to do or an excuse to get outside or do something to connect with people. So hopefully that can be a positive for everybody and you know, encourage the virtual events and to do it that way, and still put that challenge out there.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I'm looking forward to the event. And I think the event itself is great. And I mean, of course, the planning of this was before everyone knew that we'd still be kind of stuck in this mess. But I'm just finding I was super excited to run some big outdoor thing. And like, that's just a wrong time to promote that here. So
one of the reasons, Kate, we actually went the way we did is because we knew exactly that this was going to be the case in one of the provinces. And so if you look at the videos, the two that are there promoting it, none of it has been about big events at all. One of them is the virtual event from last year. And then the other one is Mo in her street, where everybody is literally in their driveway. So at no point, and I know it's hard for us because it's what we do, we're like, get everybody together in the biggest spot. And, you know, we went from the steps of the Supreme Court of Canada to virtual. And now this is why it's really grassroots. So really, I think to consider what Nick said about the number of coaches that do things like I'm taking my family and 2 neighbors to the park. We're going to be 8 people because that's what I can do. That's all I can do. And so that's always been the plan. And so focusing on what we can do, because I think that's the message that we can get across on June 5th is ain't no government regulation is going to stop us from helping people move and benefit from physical activity. We are phenomenally creative with all of this, and we will find a way. And so whether it's popping into a quick Zoom and you just need to put the link there, if it's I'm going to do it on Facebook Live and here's my handle, we've made everything really accessible. And if anything, have discouraged anything that looks like a big event because it was just too risky. Since January, we've been pushing everything towards do it in your driveway with your neighbor across the street, put some music in somebody's car in the driveway, and let's just move with the kids and the grandparents or whatever it is that you can do. So if we pull it back to the less about a big event, more about the nothing's going to stop us from serving Canadians' needs as it relates to movement and health and fitness, then we tap into the creativity of the thousands of owner operators and fitness pros that have done that over the past year. So it's different than the big stuff we're used to, but I think it can be even more powerful if we do lots and lots and lots and lots of little things. And we've got some really cool prizes, by the way, for the ones that send in. Like I had 6 people that did 45 minutes. We're throwing more and more prizes to the ones that report back because we kind of want to see this map of the minutes that were done across the country and use that moving forward to show them how nothing stops us.
Yeah, so we will get this going and we'll spread more information as we can. So we have a little bit less than a month here to get this show on the road, but we're hoping that it will be a success. I know that Scott had a few words he wanted to
How
also
did Scott
share.
get to Hawaii? I thought there was like restrictions for travel.
This is backyard airdrie, so definitely not Hawaii, but the sun actually came out, so I decided to move. Yeah, I just wanted to share, like, obviously it's been pretty challenging time lately. Everybody's heard about our company, Gym Movement, and what we're going through. So, you know, it's tough to keep your head up. Definitely reach out and talk to somebody. But I wanted to share, I do believe the light is at the end of this tunnel. You're hearing, you know, of a lot of countries, UK is basically open. The US is open. The CDC today announced that if you've had your 2 vaccines, they no longer see a need to wear a mask anywhere or have any restrictions. Canada, the government of Canada today said if 75% of people have the first vaccine and 25% have the second vaccine, there should be no need for restrictions. Saskatchewan's got a very progressive reopening plan based on vaccines. So it really does seem that, you know I personally can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And, you know, I think we just need to hang on a little bit more. And as vaccines ramp up, we could really be poised for a big comeback. And I attended a session today at the CanFit Pro seminar conference. It was a gentleman out of Pennsylvania, Sheldon McPhee, I believe his name is. I really want to bring him to our seminar next month to present. And it was about a win-back campaign. And so he has a very structured win-back strategy, and he's got 95% of his people back. And so not necessarily focused and he's had incredible success. And I think that would really benefit our group is, you know, creating that really structured win back campaign. I think personally, I think September, we're going to have record breaking enrollments in our clubs and studios. And so, you know, we got to get through the next few months, but I do see a massive September coming. Anyways, I just wanted to end kind of on a little positive note there in the sunshine. That's
Wonderful.
it.
Thank you. And I believe that wraps up our meeting for today, unless anybody else has a few comments or questions. I think we're good. As always, please feel free to contact me about anything you wish to discuss or ideas and comments. And other than that, I will send this meeting out to everybody along with the presentations and some videos for National Health and Fitness Day and the link to register. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, a wonderful weekend, and we will see you during our next meeting. Bye, everyone.